Welcome everyone, my name is Gabriel and this is Empire. Demo Play, my little project for, well, first impressions when I try to play demos of different games. Actually Steam comes very handy here with possibility to download the demos and try the game before you actually give you the money. Empire is a dungeon keeper clone a little bit, and something sort of a mix between a variety of games. It has a little bit of controls from strategy games, so micromanagement, but it also combines a little bit of economical simulations, and to be honest, it doesn't well, it tries to be too many things in the same moment. This is a post comment because Empire has one problem, at least one problem. This game tends to be long. Playing even the demo, I did some research and I tried to measure my time. It takes around half an hour for even the basic tutorials. The basic first tutorial mission, and that is why this game is not really the type of game I like the most. What happens here, well, it's a difficult thing to say. This experience that I had with this game is quite difficult to summarize briefly, so allow me to give you a little tour on the game.
I want to break free from being a slave to the grind, and in order to do so, one has to give no more than a bat's arse for the well-being of others. Is to place barrels of meat in front of several ventilation tubes in the Barbarbian sewers. Oh, happy day, this will be great! You should also try to repair the 3 rooms our scouts have found nearby. One where our minions can train, one with a forge to produce new equipment, and an old prison block where we can hold heroes for ransom. When that is done, send a raiding squad to the archives at City Hall to fetch me a map of these sewers.
From what I understand, the game has 2 modes, single player and multiplayer. I had the opportunity only to play the single player, and even if I tried the multiplayer from other sources, I found out that it is hard to find anyone actually playing this game. In the single player you play Ball. Oh, come on, this name is so overused in fantasy games. He's a demon, he's a very powerful demon, and unfortunately summoned by a demonologist, or demo whatever, necromancer, wizard, whatever you want to call him, and everything's, well, problem. This guy puts Baal, the lord of Bottomless Pit, into a little tiny monster, the monster we control, and that monster is the actual leader of a bunch of imps. The game storyline is pretty non-existent, or even if there is something there, it's not really that impressive. It's a generic story about a monster summoned by a demonologist and at some point getting loose. Basically, there are actually 3 maps you can control: the world map, tactical view, or rather management view of your dungeon, and an inner view of your dungeon. What you do, you control the dungeon, you create the overall outline of the dungeon, place rooms, you assign minions to those rooms, you control squads that run around and defend your dungeon, because as we all know, dungeons are places that attract heroes who try to go down and kill your minions. Well, there is also more into this, because the dungeon has to work on a daily basis, so you have to feed your minions, you have to arm them, you have to collect treasures, as well as on the world map make raids. All of this sounds good in theory when you look at it, but to be honest, the experience of doing this is rather boring. Ball has some possibilities to move quickly around the dungeon and move his soldiers around the dungeon with teleporting them, with teleporting himself. Not to mention that there are ladders appearing from time to time, depending on the level, or from the main gate your heroes will enter and try to fight you. There are also sort of a neutral enemies that are guarding different parts of the dungeon. There are rooms that you don't actually place, and you just find a way to them by arranging hallways. Those rooms are destroyed, and then a minion comes in, rebuilds the whole thing, and sort of this room becomes part of your dungeon. What's the biggest problem of this game? Well, as I said, it tries to be too many things at the same time. It tries to be a strategic game when the controls, the user interface isn't exactly that good for strategic games. I have to praise the camera controls, because even if a little bit lacking, it allows you to position the camera quite clearly to see every angle, every room, every corner. But what's the point of that? Actually, I don't know. It's much easier to control the game from the outside than from the inside, and there's too much micromanagement. You know, in such games, a lot of things have to happen automatically. Like the minions have to move automatically, your troops have to patrol or try to fight enemies, especially in the combat. Combat is actually tedious and boring even to watch, because at some point it just becomes obvious. Your minions and the enemies just hit themselves one another. It's just an exchange of blows with no real tactic in it. Even if you add different types of minions to your squads, at some point you realize that you have to control them by doing it yourself, so they are not able to help you in any way by doing things themselves. The whole game is looking good. Come on, this is a fantasy little project, a fantasy little game where a lot of things happening there is kind of hilarious and tries to be funny. I found some of these things actually funny, but I do realize it's not everyone's idea of good humor in a game. So, really? Will that help? I don't think so. Empire is micromanaging. It basically tries to be too many things at the same time, as I said before, and in the end is not a good thing in any of these. Main thing is that the game very much lacks freedom in creating your own dungeon. The rooms are pre-designed in the sense that there are enters and exits predetermined. That's one thing. Second, you're not allowed to actually move them around very precisely. It seems that when the specific dungeon or specific mission was designed, it was designed in such a way that the player is encouraged to place the rooms, or find the rooms even, in exact points that they were placed before, or there is just enough place to actually, you see quite clearly that this is the place where the specific room should be placed. It seems this game lacks a lot of innovation. It tries to, as I said, it tries to be too many things at the same time, and in the end, even I don't actually know what they wanted to achieve here, but I'm quite clear. It's quite clear for me that they didn't achieve what they were even trying to do, to clone Dungeon Keeper. I played Dungeon Keeper a little bit. It's just not my type of game. Economical simulations like this, you know, SimCity, Theme Hospital, things like that, aren't exactly my thing. It's hard for me to find excitement and enjoyment in playing those titles. The same happens with Empire, but in a bigger scale. This game just doesn't work for me in any way. I do like the main hero, Ball, sort of a sarcastic little bit guy who was thrown in a situation totally not working for him, and he still tries to do his best, and in the end he will probably succeed. If I ever have the opportunity to play this campaign or see it through, maybe on a YouTube or whatever, I'm quite sure this guy will be a nice evil overlord. But actually, if I want to play as an overlord of evil minions, there is a better game that portraits that, and it's basically called Overlord. So Empire, in my opinion, well, to call this an average game is doing its justice. Nothing great, but nothing, but not walking in misery as well. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed this little material. Comment, subscribe, or do whatever you feel about Empire. If you are into dungeon keeping and dungeon crawling, this game might be for you, but actually I don't think so. Don't expect too much from this game, because actually it's not that good. That's the hard truth for Empire. And have a nice day. As always, my name is Gabriel. Feel free to see other materials. Bye, and see ya around the internet.